Today I'm going to read for you my latest article, Chaco Canyon, Living Ancestral Memory and a Future Worth Fighting For. I want to start by saying before I read it that there is a real time crunch on the call to action for today because we have only been given 2 weeks for the public to make comment to let them know how we feel about this proposal to open up the protected areas around Chaco for drilling. So I'm asking you to please leave a comment with the BML by the 26th of this month, which is just a few days. So please do it the 29th of this month. Please do it by the 26th if you can. Do it as soon as you can, as soon as you see this. If you feel compelled, the link is in my places, okay? Every time I drove by the sign to Chaco Canyon off the highway, I felt a strong urge to stop. But I told myself I didn't have time, and I didn't even know what it was. And what was it to me? But I told my... Every time I drove by the sign to Chaco Canyon off the highway, I felt a strong urge to stop. But I told myself I didn't have time, and I didn't even know what it was. And what was it to me? Every time I kept driving, I knew I made a mistake, but it wouldn't be till I stopped running, stopped rushing so fast to the next ever-moving goalpost that I would have the chance to begin to understand the mistake I had made. Because the first thing that was taken from me was an understanding of my relationship with this land, and I spent most of my life coming to understand that. That understanding, identity, was taken from my parents and grandparents before them. And you might think, if it was so long ago, why does it matter? Aren't you like everyone else now? Yes, I am like everyone else. Everyone else who has been stripped of their indigeneity and left to wonder at the gaping hole in their sense of self that they could not explain until they could. Everyone who was always asked where they belonged and to prove it until they could. And then suddenly, no one wanted to talk about that evidence anymore. All of the comments, the piteous, the kind, the hateful. It was so easy to lie to myself, to gaslight myself out of duty, out of safety, because it was all that I knew, to tell myself I wasn't really from here. Some say these stories aren't valid unless there is genetic evidence. Others say genetic evidence is invalid in the context of identity. But what about when all of those components are there and we are left with the really hard questions about why the system was designed to isolate and assimilate to begin with? What about the strange places you what about the strange places you find yourself wandering to find peace, and the way you understand later why you did? What about the history books you didn't know to read until now? The songs you want your children to learn now that you know what you lost? What about the history of indigenous resistance and sovereignty that defines New Mexico and the Southwest? What about the living legacy of that work that we carry on today? What about the lessons we teach our children when we show by example that it is worth protecting the earth and the important cultural sites of all people? It is true that we only borrow the world from future generations to come. I can probably manage the 7 to 8 hour drive from Denver to Chaco Canyon in the next year. I can probably beat the endless thirst devouring this world in time to see it with my own eyes, and I will. But it is not enough to document its disappearance. When I go, I will knowing that I did what I could to protect it on behalf of all of those for whom it holds meaning and for future generations. I will go knowing who I am. I will go knowing who I am and why it matters to me, and understanding why my daughter had to see it too. The value of cultural sites like Chaco Canyon are not only as historical artifacts, but as living memories, cultural sites, and a promise to the future. I cannot I do not want to. I choose not to live without knowing that I did what I could to protect Chaco Canyon and Mother Earth herself, to safeguard the earth for future generations and all living beings as best I could. This is about more than one archaeological site, one ancestral home, one people, one religion, or one nation. This is about doing what is right and standing by tribal nations to ensure the continued protection of this land, now and in perpetuity. This is about the world we are leaving behind and who we want to be when this history is written. In May, I wrote about the imperial boomerang and our responsibility to face and reconcile the harm of colonialism and industry to the environment and human health and well-being. Today, I'm writing about the most important actions we can take, the ethos we can live by to build the future we want. That ethos is land back. The tenets of honoring treaties and agreements between nations, respecting tribal sovereignty, and protecting the constitutional right of freedom of religious freedom. From this foundation, we can build a future that honors and supports life, diversity, and harmony on this earth.